Good morning, happy Wednesday, and welcome to Coffee with Regina. And this morning, I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Lyssa Jaye. And Lyssa is absolutely amazing at what she does. And I'm going to let her introduce herself because I don't want to miss anything in her bio. So, welcome, Lyssa. Tell us a
Hi,
little bit about yourself.
thanks, Regina. It's so great to be here. I am a nurse practitioner and I have a business called Positively Thriving Functional Wellness for Women. And I work with women in their 40s and beyond to transform their health by addressing their unique hormonal issues and improving their quality of life. And I work with, mostly perimenopausal and postmenopausal women.
Ah, so in our group here, in my group, it's the women business owners from overwhelmed to overjoyed, and we talk about the whole mindset piece about being overwhelmed. You got all this stuff to do, as a business owner, and honestly, I'm gonna say it. Maybe it's stereotypical, and maybe it's not true anymore. I don't really know. I don't want to cross any lines here. I'm just gonna say that women, generally speaking, are the ones who take care of everything. So it's the house, it's the kids, it's the dog, it's whatever it is. It's kind of our job. Now I know there's a lot of guys who do their part too. The thing is that stereotypically, and for the majority, I think it's all the women. So when
Yeah.
you're doing all of that, you've got all that going on, and you're running a business. Now you've got all this other stuff going on, and oh my gosh, things just pile up, right? And that's how overwhelm gets created. Now, throw on top of that, like you said, 40 and up. What happens when you turn 40? That perimenopausal starts kicking in. Now what happens? Now on top of all of that other stuff going on, you have all this physical stuff going on. And that's what I want to talk about today. It's one thing to deal with the mindset stuff going on. We can work on that. You know what? I almost think that the mindset part is the easy part. When that physical part kicks in with the perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause and all those things that go on during that time, oh my gosh, that's like the perfect storm. So tell us about, how you help people and what do you do when you get overwhelmed with all that stuff?
What do I do? Well, you have definitely helped me a lot. I've learned a lot from you about staying focused, using a habit tracker so that I make sure that I stay on task and have made it a little bit easier, right? So, at first, when you start something new, whether it's a health journey, right? You decide I'm sick of feeling this way and I want to feel better, or it's you're starting a new business. Um, the mindset is always where I start, also, right? Just like you do, because it's really hard to undo years and years and years of habits. So, starting a new business on top of that, it really made me realize that I have to not force myself to do things, right? Instead of like sitting there and arguing, gosh, should I do it? Should I not do it? Do I go the easy way? Do I do what I know I need to do? And that habit tracker really helped me stay on track and like be consistent every single day for 60 or 70 days to make sure that that habit is in my brain. The neural networks have connected, and now it's a lot easier to get things done. And on top of that, really paying attention to my health, realizing that as we get older, we have more responsibility to actually do things that are going to help us, right? When we're young and we're eating fast food and staying up all night, our body was a lot more resilient and could bounce back faster. So at this age, right, after 40, and I'm after 50, you really need to start making sure that you are, creating healthy mitochondria, keeping that energy up, eating foods that are nourishing your body, getting sleep. So all of those things are big changes to make. So it's mindset, making sure that you know what kind of person you want to be, the goals that you want to achieve, breaking them down into smaller pieces, and then creating habits out of them.
So you hit on a whole bunch of things right there. And I just want to hit one that I personally think is like one of the biggest ones, especially with the perimenopause into menopause. And I'm postmenopausal at this point. And I found that as those years went by,
Hmm.
my biggest challenge was sleep. And
Mhm.
so it's one thing when you've got all this stuff going on. So, you got a pile over here, a pile over there. You've got to bring your kid to a game. You've got to go grocery shopping. You got to take care of the laundry. You're running the business. Maybe you have employees that you're working with, or a VA, or somebody else that you're managing on the
Mm.
side there. And then there's all these things that you have to do, and you're meeting with clients, and all of this stuff is going on. When you're tired because you're not getting sleep, that overwhelm goes from here to here really quick. So give us some tips. What would you say to somebody who is maybe in that spot that is saying, you know what? My biggest challenge right now is getting a good night's sleep. What do I do?
Well, that is almost after mindset. Sleep is pretty much always where I start with people, because if we're not sleeping, it is really hard to make good decisions. It's hard to stay focused. Our cognitive abilities decline. Our stress levels go up. We get triggered really easily, so that something that was probably not a big deal all of a sudden feels like it's the end of the world. So sleep is absolutely key. And it gets harder and harder as we get older, right? There's hot flashes, there's night sweats, right? Where we're woken up, we have to go to the bathroom more often, because our urethral and vaginal tissues are not as elastic anymore, and they're dry and you get irritated more easily. And as we get older, our melatonin decreases. So all these things together, in addition to whatever stress you're having, right? Because anytime you're stressed, that cortisol is going to go up, which is going to make it harder to sleep too. That's your stress hormone. So starting with sleep is very personal, right? You want to look at your own patterns and what's going on with your sleep, but really where I would start with is explain to someone that your sleep starts the second you wake up in the morning. And that
Mm.
is something people don't realize. They're like, running, running, running all day long on their screens, stress level up here, drinking caffeine all day long, right? They're after lunch slump at 3 o'clock. They're, grabbing either sugary snacks or coffee or tea to keep them going. Chocolate's a favorite. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to get to bed at 11 so I can get my sleep. And then they lie in bed and their eyes are wide open, their brain's going like this. And then they finally fall asleep a couple hours later, only to wake up to a night sweat or having to pee. So
Been there,
it's
done that.
right. We all have. And so it's important to realize that you can't just expect your body to get ready for sleep if you're not preparing your body for sleep. And that preparation starts first thing in the morning. And the very best thing we can do to entrain our brains to get back onto a healthy sleep pattern in this circadian rhythm, right? That 24-hour pattern our bodies have. We want to entrain our brains to know when to go to sleep and know when to wake up so that we're not fighting against ourselves. So the first thing is getting some light in the morning. It is such
Mm.
an important thing that most people don't, right? 99% of the people I work with wake up in the morning and grab their iPad. And instead,
I've worked with Lisa, and this is why I have this. This is one of those sun lamp thingies, and I don't even know exactly what you call it, but
a
she's
happy
had me buy
light.
this. It's a
It's
happy
called
light,
happy light. Isn't that the
and
best
it makes
name?
me happy.
So if you can get up and get direct sunlight in the morning, what you're doing is telling your pineal gland, you're resetting that to say, okay, I'm up now. Cut it with the melatonin. You're letting your adrenals know it's time to start getting the regular daily dose of cortisol out. That's your get up and go hormone. And you set yourself up for being on a good pattern. There's some a part of your brain called the chiasmatic nuclei. It's this little part of your brain behind the hypothalamus. It's your master clock that controls all of your body clocks, and it
Mm.
responds to light and dark. That is its main cue, and it's what gets the rest of your body doing what it's supposed to do when it's supposed to do it. And the first thing every morning, getting sunlight starts that clock off, and it says, okay, we're on it, we know our job. And it seems so simple, right? Is you wake up in the morning, do not grab your blue light because that's doing the opposite. That way you want it to do. You want like a full spectrum light. The happy light's full spectrum. You want sunlight if you can get it. It's the best. That's what our body is made to respond to.
So when you say blue light, so that means like don't pick up your phone, don't pick up your iPad, that kind of
Not
thing?
first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Ideally, first thing in the morning, get out in sunlight. get some actual sunlight, ideally 20 minutes. But if you can't do that to begin with, start with 5. If you drink a cup of coffee or tea in the morning, grab that real quick, go sit in the sunlight while you drink it. If you meditate in the morning, go do that in the sunlight, right? Everything just to get that clock moving in your head. And if you don't have sunlight or you wake up before the sun comes up, then something like a happy light that has 10,000 lux or higher really emulates that sunshine for you.
Yeah, I did notice, after you and I chatted and I bought that light, it did make a difference. When we chatted, it was in the winter time, and
Yeah.
right now it's easier. It's summertime, and I have to tell you, I have a cat, and my cat sleeps in my room with me, and she wakes up as soon as the sun comes up. And so now that it's summer and the sun's coming up earlier, it's okay. I don't need an alarm clock anymore. The cat wakes me up. In the wintertime, she's the same way, it's like as long as it's dark, she's sleeping.
Yeah.
And
And that
so I don't
just
have her to wake me up.
right. If you think evolutionarily, that is how our bodies are meant to do. We were meant to wake up with the sun, go forage for food and get our water and, build our huts, whatever we were doing. And then as the sun went down, our bodies calmed down and maybe we had a fire for a little while, but those took a lot of work and they were expensive,
Mhm.
to get all the stuff even later, before industrialization, before the light bulb. Even if you were rich, you don't want to use all your candles all night long, right? You use them for a little while after dinner to read or to journal. There are no screens, there's no artificial light coming from anywhere, and your body naturally was ready to go to sleep. And even that candlelight isn't blue light, right? That's a warmer light. And so the second tip I usually give people is mimic that same thing in the evenings, right? As the sun is going down naturally, dim your lights in the house if you have dimmers. If not, turn off your overhead lights and instead use some table lamps with amber lighting in it. And amber light bulbs are everywhere you go, Lowe's, Amazon, even probably your supermarket might have some. And they're really easy to put in lamps. They're the exact same light bulbs, but instead of releasing a blue light, which upregulates your cortisol and downregulates your melatonin, you want an amber light, which lets the opposite happen, right? Lets your cortisol go down in the evening so you're sleepy and helps your melatonin know it's time to come up. And that's speaking to your pineal gland. And that's the gland that's releasing that melatonin. And we really want that melatonin released an hour or two before we go to bed because the job of melatonin, it's not a sleeping pill. It's a pill that tells our body it's getting dark, it's time for bed.
Right. Okay. So when you say all that stuff, now you're talking about cortisone and melatonin and all that kind of stuff. And there's all of these, chemicals that are in our body that are released at different times. So
Mhm.
when we're overwhelmed and stressed out, there's chemicals being released.
They're
And
hormones. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, they're chemicals, but they're hormones. It's your body releasing something that is then traveling somewhere else and giving other places in your body messages.
And so, if you're all stressed out and having all this overwhelm going on because of your day, so it's mental overwhelm. Now, on top of that, your mental overwhelm is now creating this physical overwhelm because of all these hormones and things that are being released into your body. So now it's like a double whammy.
Yeah. Yeah, stress is a big one, and most of us, even people in modern society who don't have their own business and kids and all these other things and health issues, the way we're living, right? Constant media, constant screens, just even that alone, plus toxic overload, right? There's pollution everywhere and all the stuff we're getting into our body that most of us are at a state of hyperactive stress response, right? That most of us have some level of chronic stress going on. It's not like it's supposed to be where we live most of our lives in this rest and digest calm mode where your body's repairing itself, your food is being absorbed and incorporated, and your cells are using all those nutrients to do important things. Most of us are living most of our lives, or a good part of it, in this stress response, the fight or flight response. And when you have stress from your job, from your family, from life itself, like whatever's coming up for us. And as we get older, right now we have parents, a lot of us to take care of also, not to mention thinking about retirement, if you have kids, college. So like just talking like that, right? I'm like, you see my shoulders are going up like, oh my God, how can I do it all?
I'm watching you get stressed out.
Exactly. So when that happens, there's so many different things about this. So we're at that chronic stress. What our stress level is supposed to do is our cortisol, which is the hormone that's supposed to come out when we're stressed, like an acute stress, right? Like you're about to get in a car accident, your adrenaline, cortisol spike up. We manage it, right? Our reflexes are really good. Our eyesight is excellent. We're using instinct rather than thinking because that takes too long. We get everything done. And then you have a counter-regulatory hormone called DHEA, which comes out and calms us down. So usually within an hour, we're back to that baseline, right?
Hmm.
But in modern life, we're over here. We're never all the way down at that baseline. And so what's supposed to happen is that cortisol is supposed to wake us up in the morning. And then the rest of the day, it's supposed to gently come down. And then oppositely, the melatonin is low in the morning. It's really, really low. And then in the evening, so you can't see my hand, it starts to go up, um, in the evening around 8 o'clock at night. And then it goes up and up and up while the cortisol is going down. So stress goes down, melatonin goes up. Our body's like, oh, good, it's time to sleep. You're supposed to be able to get into bed around 10 o'clock, get to sleep. Melatonin peaks around 3 to 4 and then starts to slowly go down. And then the cortisol comes up around 6 or 7. That's a beautiful, like, opposite thing that these two hormones do naturally, evolutionarily, but with our modern lives, that's not happening. So what we're trying to do in response to stress, in response to light, and response to toxic burden is try to get as close as we can back to that natural level. And that means dealing with stress during the day, not letting it get to the point where you're constantly in fight or flight. And especially the 3 hours before bed, we really want to concentrate on lowering that stress, increasing our calm so that we can get to sleep and sleep well. You mentioned women waking up around 3 or 4, in the morning. Well, that's often because they didn't produce enough melatonin. It didn't peak when it was supposed to, and they're waking up, and that cortisol comes up. There's other reasons too. It could be related to food. It could be related to hot flashes. It could be related to having to go in the bathroom. But that 3 to 4 window is often due to melatonin.
Yeah, and that's you just kind of hit on that. That's why coaches, consultants, and all of us people who help people out and help people navigate through this stuff. That's why
Mhm.
it's important. As you're talking about it, I'm just thinking about the complexity of the entire system. So there's the thoughts in your mind. There's all that stuff going on. Now you've got these hormones in your body, which is responding to those thoughts in your mind. So
Yeah.
it starts with these thoughts that go through your head that create the stress, right? Or, the event or whatever's going on. And your response to it or your choices about whatever it is create whatever the outcome is. And the outcome oftentimes generates that stress. And now you've generated stress. So now those hormones start kicking in and all the chemicals start doing their thing. And now you've got like this mix of stuff in you that's just like out of control. It's like chaos inside your body going on. And the idea of actually getting it all under control, it's like, okay, well, it's not just one thing. It's not just, okay, well, let's change your mindset and change your thoughts. That's a part of it. And then the fact is, I mean, you can change your mindset and say, I'm not going to let any of this stuff affect me anymore. And the reality is, an event's going to happen. Something's going to happen. You're going to get a call. There's going to be a car accident. Somebody's going to get sick. Something's going to happen that triggers a response. Stress is just a part of life.
Yeah.
And the thing that you said that really hit me was about the chronic stress is that most of us, and I think, I don't know, I would venture to guess all of us live in that state of chronic stress where it's those we're always up here. We're never down here. And it's no wonder we can't get sleep at night. It's like we got all this chronic stress going on. On top of that, we got perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. It's like it just builds, builds, builds. Like I said, it's a perfect storm. And so it's kind of like juggling, 100 balls in the air. And it's like, okay, this one over here is my thoughts. This one over here is my sleep. This one over here is do this. This one's do this. And it's like, where do I start? Where do I start managing this? How do I get, at least a little bit better from where I am right now? Where would you tell somebody to start?
Yes, that is great. And you know, you I do believe that many of us have chronic stress, but I do also strongly believe, and I have seen people who were able to decrease their stress enough so that they got back to a normal cortisol pattern. And the cool thing is, in functional medicine, like what I do is exactly what you said. It is all connected. I mean, this is barely touching the iceberg of how it's connected, right? Your chronic stress also affects your gut, right? Your intestines, where the vast majority of your immune system lies, where the vast majority of your melatonin is produced, interestingly, that helps with digestion and gut health.
Hmm.
The vast majority of our neurotransmitters, serotonin, that happy, the neurotransmitter that keeps us happy, right? And when it's depleted, that causes depression. That is all in your gut. And the more stress you have, the more your gut is disrupted, the more your bad bacteria can increase and your good bacteria go down. It can impair the integrity of your gut, cause inflammation. Like, it truly is all connected, and way more than we can talk about in this one thing. And yet, as overwhelming as that sounds, the truth is there are a lot of tools that have been shown scientifically and also just over the years, right? Like meditation, we know from studying monks and seeing their brain waves and looking at them in functional MRIs and their cortisol levels, that meditation is actually a physical and mental practice that can reduce our stress drastically. And it is absolutely something that I recommend to every single person, whether they feel like they're in chronic stress or not. It is incredibly powerful to help calm our mind, to bring those stress hormones down, to get us to the point where we can function at a much higher level, where we can our cognitive abilities are heightened, right? When you're able to get to that calm level, you're able to focus more. And it has shown also to decrease gut imbalance, right? Just that ability to bring that stress level down. And meditation is free, it's simple. Literally anybody can do it. I mean, I've even seen people with severe ADHD get to the point where they can meditate. Takes more practice, but it is doable. And it is highly effective at getting us to that point, and it is really effective to help us sleep as well. I mean, that simple free thing. And you can even start, something as simple as 5 minutes a day. I've had people who I had to start at 1 minute a day because they were so averse to the idea of sitting still. But they've been able to build up and do it regularly. And if you make it a practice, meditation is called a practice because it doesn't work if you just do it in the moment. You have to practice regularly so that when you have those moments of acute stress, you immediately know how to call on that and use it. And the simplest thing I teach people, I don't know if you wanted me to go over this, is just a very simple breathing technique that
Sure.
helps people bring it down like that.
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay, well, it's called 478 breathing. Some of your people may already know this, but it is one of the most effective ways to very quickly switch off your sympathetic, your fight, flight, or freeze response, and turn on your parasympathetic, your rest and digest mode. And it switches that autonomic system around, like oftentimes after just a few breaths. And so you can do it anywhere. You can do it in a car. Don't close your eyes if you're in a car driving. You can do it while you're waiting at the doctor's office. If your kid is sitting there, having a temper tantrum, you could literally just take yourself in the room and take 5 minutes and do this and be able to address that calmly. And so it's get yourself in a comfortable position, and it's very simple. You breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 7 seconds and breathe out for 8 seconds. You can breathe out through your nose or your mouth. Feel whichever one helps you release as much stress, but try to
Hmm.
do it in a way that it's a controlled breath. So it's kind of audible. So I'll show you what it looks like. I just did that one time and already feel a little bit calmer. So you're breathing in, and as you're breathing out, whether it's through your nose or your mouth, make it controlled and try to relax everything in your body, your jaw, your forehead, your shoulders, your back. And sometimes if you're, just a little bit, you notice that self-talk. I know you talk a lot about awareness of what's going on in your
Mhm.
brain. If you feel your self-talk getting negative, if you feel it going like spiraling up in that stress, like, I can't handle something, you can cut that off and do this breath. And sometimes 3 or 4 times is enough. Or if you're in a really stressful situation and you don't know how to handle something and it's really bad, you can, like, actually lay down and just do this for 10 minutes. And one, it might help you fall asleep at night. It's very helpful for getting people to sleep and turning off your brain, but it's also really helpful to get through some of those really hard times that we all experience.
So it's 4, 7, 8.
Yep, 4-7-8
Awesome.
breathing. It's kinda magic.
So yeah, so I just wanna add a few things in there because I am one of those people. I don't meditate, and I don't meditate for well, let me rephrase that. I don't meditate in the sense that I sit and be still and meditate. I active meditate, so I'm an
Mhm,
active meditator, and that's a thing.
and
And
that's
so
absolutely a thing.
right, and so I do earthing and, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I'll go out and just walk in the grass and,
Oh, it's
and
fantastic. And
right,
bare feet?
in bare feet and clear my
Yes,
mind and
hold
just
yourself.
I'll literally just walk around, and that's so it's my form of active meditation, and it's because I don't like to sit still. I don't
Mhm.
it's just me. I'm constantly moving. I like to be moving, and when I sit still, that's the first thing that goes through my head. The first thing that starts going through my head is we need to be moving. We need to be moving. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? It's not even the thoughts of, what's going on or what's stressing me out at the time. It's really just I can't sit here. I can't be still like this. I got to move something. I'm fidgeting. I used to get yelled at all the time when I was in grade school because I was a fidgeter. So it was, my maiden name is Hayes. So as Miss Hayes, will you please sit still? Yeah, it's just me. I'm just constantly moving, right? And so I found that active meditation worked well for me. And I'm thinking that your 4-7-8 breathing actually is meditation. If you do that for 5 minutes, you are kind of in a meditative state. And I'm just thinking, I'm going, well, wait a minute, I can do that. Why? Because it gives my brain something to concentrate on. I'm concentrating
Exactly.
on 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Right. Plus,
That
you're
gives my
relaxing everything, so you're focusing on what
yeah,
that relaxation feels like. There's so many different kinds of meditations.
yeah. As long as my brain has something to focus on to get rid of the fidgeting,
Yeah,
then it's all good. So I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm gonna have to incorporate this 4-7-8 breath in.
it's
This is
really, really
great.
amazing. And
I can
and
do it
you
while
think
I'm
about
grounding outside.
totally, and you think about the many different kinds of, traditions there are. There's Tai Chi and Qigong, which are also right, Tai Chi is a movement meditation. Qigong is like an energetic meditation that you're doing. There's, and there's even chanting, right? Think about the different, like, Zen Buddhist chanting meditations that you do, where it's something that you say over and over and over again. And so some people will pick a mantra. I do my favorite kind of meditation, my, like, go-to that I do every single morning, um, unless I'm super stressed out, and then I just do breathing. But most of the time, my meditation is a loving kindness meditation called metta in Buddhism, where I, either put out energy of maybe happy, healthy, safe, and at peace, and just focus on that over and over and over again and putting that energy out onto a person, into the world, or to myself. So many different ways to meditate. And the cool thing is I would probably say a million, and that might not even be an exaggeration. Um, Different free meditations that are guided online that you can get to on YouTube and just listen to them and see what resonates with you so that your mind isn't trying to just be still, right? That's Vipassana. That's a certain kind of meditation, which is great, but some people can't do that kind.
Yeah, I love that. I actually just wrote that down. I am happy, I am healthy, I am safe, and I am at peace.
Yep.
Just that line right there. Add that to your 4-7-8 breath. What is there to be stressed about?
It's a pretty powerful one, and I usually do it breath in. Each one is, um, a breath in. I'll say, "May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you safe. May you be at peace." So with each breath, I'm thinking one of those things.
Yeah, I love that. That is great. That's
Well,
a
it's not
great.
mine. I learned it from Sylvia Boorstein, but
Mhm.
it's like a long, it's a Buddhist meditation that goes way
Yep.
back.
Yeah, and so there's a place out in Western Massachusetts called Kripalu, and people come from around the world to go there. It's actually a yoga retreat center. It's much more than yoga though. There's all kinds of things there. I go out there for R&R all the time.
I've heard of
And
it. People from Spirit Rock out here have
yep,
gone there.
yep. So yeah, the people come from all over the world and go to Kripalu. And so when I did my positive psychology program, I actually did it partially at Kripalu. And so out at Kripalu, we learn all kinds of different things. And I was out there fairly recently, a few months ago actually, and I went to a workshop where we were doing different chanting.
Mhm.
Now, a couple of them, it was like, yeah, no, this one's not working for me. And something was close to what you just said. I like the I am happy, I am healthy, I am safe, I am at peace. I like that version. It was similar to that, not exact. And it kind of felt to me like something wasn't quite right with it. And I think the way you just said that there, I was like, wow, I got chills when you said it. I was like, that's it. That's the chant. That was the format. That was with the missing words. And
Yeah.
so it like clicked. It was like, wow, this is great.
Oh, I'm so
So,
glad. Yeah. When I first heard loving kindness, it was at um, a 4 day silent retreat up in Spirit Rock, which is our like big meditation center out here. And it just changed my life. It was right after I had a kid. And well, not right after, but she was about a year old when I went, but felt like right after. And I was just so ready to like just be in this place of, of peace, right? Having a kid is pretty tumultuous.
I would say
And
so.
and I feel like it helps me, you know, I don't know about your listeners, but a lot of my clients who are, between 40 to 60 have teenagers at home. And so, boy, has that worked with me with her when I'm like up, and she's being herself and eyes rolling and attitude, off the charts. Being able to one, do 4-7-8 breathing before I respond to her, right? To like be like, okay, she's having her own thing. This isn't about me. It's not personal. And I want to respond to her in a way that's going to be helpful, right? To lead things forward as opposed to yell or, break down or just tell her to stop it
In a more loving way.
in a more loving way. So 4-7-8 breathing will stop me from going off the handle. And the loving kindness one is when I'm like really trying to like, okay, my kid's off the charts right now for whatever reason, because being a teenager, 13-year-old is hard as heck. And being able to do that loving kindness towards her and like truly just sit and give her that energy, even if it's for 5 minutes, it enables me to really go at that parenting where it's supposed to coming from this like love and peace. Like how can I be a safe space for you right now where you're truly having a hard time and you're taking it out on me right now, but I get it's because life is hard right now. And just being in a loving space instead of a reactive space. And
Right.
we're talking about this, it's so mental to be able to do that, but it is having a physical effect on our body. When I don't handle things as I wish with my kid or with anything, right? Like, I'm upset about something happening with work or, you know, my dog, had an accident in the house and I'm like, ah, to be able to like stop and put loving, peaceful, safe, healthy energy onto that thing. Boy, does it open your heart and help you expand. Just it's expansive, right? It helps you address things from this place of who you want to be in this world and from a place of integrity, really, because I want to be a loving parent, a calm, focused business person. And so being able to stop meditation, breathing, mindset, stopping the self-talk, giving that positive energy, it lets me be who I want to be in the world, which in turn makes me a better, nurse practitioner, a better clinician, a better support for other people.
Yeah, I love that. That you just summed up everything right there. And it really is. It's all about, it is the mindset and everything really does start with mindset because everything's energy. And so all of your thoughts, they're all energy. That energy in turn, triggers the hormones and all the other stuff. So everything kind of works together there. And then, on top of that, with the body changes when you're 40 and above, and, and all the other stuff going on, there's just so much to be combined together there that when you really pay attention and stop and do that breath, and or stop and do a little meditation, whether it's active meditation or sitting down and being still, whatever it is that works best for you, that really makes a huge difference. And this has been great information. I thank you so much for
Yeah.
tons of great tips and tricks and ideas on how to you know handle what is going to happen. It's not a, well, if this happens to me, it's a,
You're right.
if you're a woman, it's gonna happen. If you get to a certain age, things are gonna start changing, whether you like them to or not. It's the way our bodies work. And put that together with everything else that's going on in your life and all the mental stuff. If you're a business owner, there's all the business stress, the home stress, the kids stress, all that stuff going on. I mean, it just, adds to it all. Knowing tips and tricks on how to, move through all that is huge, because when you're actually aware, you mentioned, like I said, I talk about awareness. It's
Yeah.
all about being aware. If you just go through and you don't pay attention to what's going on, you use that line, it is what it is. Well, it's like, you know what? No, it's not. Yeah, yeah, it is what you're settling for. So if that's what you want, well, then keep doing what you're doing. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got,
Yeah.
right? And so if you want it, if that's the way it is, and that's the way you want it, great. If you wake up one morning and go, you know what, I just don't want to do it this way anymore. Guess what? You get to make that choice.
Yeah.
Implement some of these tips. Maybe implement the breathing. Maybe, implement, one of the lights so that you start getting your circadian rhythm back, or, some of the tips about the blue light. You could start implementing this anytime, anywhere. And a lot of it's free. Like you said, breathing is free.
Yeah, it is. And if I would say, what can I just want to say a couple remarks
Sure.
just to
Go,
close
go
my
for it.
thoughts up is one, this time of life can be challenging because of the physical stuff that's changing in our body. However, I believe that this time of our lives could absolutely be our best decades, right? We are wise. We have a lifetime of experience. We've probably created and learned how to interact really well with and get the support we need from our networks. We have dreams and we have this passion, this drive. And that is what I'm finding kind of across the board in the women I'm working with, whatever their health issues. And so working with someone who can, both deal with mindset or who wants to deal with your health issues and realizes that it's all integrated, I think is a really powerful way to live these next decades, right? To get yourself in this place where your health isn't in the way, where you can achieve and dream and be in this like extremely creative, productive mode of life, this great opportunity. So that is why I do what I do, to be able to help women kind of get over that hormonal stuff. Let's figure out ways to make you feel better. And there's so many different ways to do that. And then like, let's get you out and like shine your light.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest here. I finish up my 59th year on this earth in November,
Woo!
and move into my 60th revolution. And I, I when people talk about, oh my gosh, you're going to be 60, how does that feel? It feels fabulous. I love my age. I love the wisdom. I love all of the stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly that happened. It all created the me who I am now, and taught me so many lessons and brought me to where I am, that I'm loving now. And it's this is where it's at. And so now, knowing how much I want to be here, what my purpose is, what I do, that's what I do now. Is I strive to find, okay, all right, these little things I need to tweak. What do I need to tweak? Okay, I'm not sleeping so good because I'm thinking it might be perimenopausal or menopause or whatever. That's when I call you up and I say, hey, Lyssa, here's what's going on. What do I do? And I know you'll have an answer for me and be able to help me out, which you have. So for any of you who are tuning in and listening to the replay here, just know that Lyssa is a wealth of information. And if they want to find you, Lyssa, where do we find you?
Well, I would go to howtobalanceyourhormones.com. And there they can get my consumer awareness guide, which is 5 toxic beliefs preventing you from thriving in your 40s and beyond, which gives you a lot of great information about dealing with this time of life. And all my contact information is on there as well.
Awesome. When we get done here, will you drop that into the comments for us
Sure.
under the video, and then people can just click on the link and find you? Because
Absolutely.
I have to admit, I've worked with Lyssa. She's given me so many tips. I have the little blue light glasses to use
Those are
if
helpful.
I'm looking at a screen at night, or and I have screens actually on my screens here at the office that are the blue light to stop the blue light coming in. So there's all kinds of
Cool.
tips and tricks that Lyssa can give you that will help you manage all of that. So as we're working through our day, we create much more joy and go from overwhelmed to overjoyed.
Well, I love how symbiotic our work is because I've learned so much from you also about focusing and dealing with self-talk and making my habit tracker. It's what we both do is really complementary to each other.
It is. So I really want to thank you for joining me for a cup and a
Thank you.
chat with purpose. And my cup says choose happy, and it says stay positive on the inside.
Always.
And so until next time, I want to thank you so much, Lyssa, for being here. And if anybody has any comments or questions for Lyssa, feel free to pop them into the comments in the chat underneath this in Facebook in the group. And Lyssa will be in there and happily, I'm sure, answer any questions
Of
that you might
course.
have. And then you can connect with her. And I'm telling you, she is the person who can help you out.
Thank you so much for having me, Regina. This was so much fun.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time on Coffee with
Bye.
Regina. Bye for now.